In a world where two friends decided to watch movies from their youth, then decided to start a podcast about it, we present to you the Movie Test of Time. A podcast about the only medium that matters, the movies. Presenting your hosts, America's sweetheart, Beth Martin, and Irish ruffian, Andy Young. Hello, that's us, your romantic and cool hosts. This week, looking at true romance. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
I don't know if I would ever call myself romantic.
I don't think so. I don't think either one of us are particularly.
No.
But I think that's... But hey, we're both really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was the one I had to do whenever it was the wee napkin at the end.
Yeah.
You're so cool. It's just like... Cool's gotta be one of them. It's gotta be.
Oh my god, I have things to say about this movie. Okay, what is the crack? What's the crack? So we got a baby bearded dragon.
Yeah.
Have you ever owned a reptile?
I haven't. No.
Okay, so it's different than owning a mammal.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets cold. And then I think she's dead. This happens twice a day. I'm like, oh my god, she's dead.
Oh, she physically feels cold?
Yeah, she gets cold and then she
wow.
can't move. And so I'm like, fuck, she's dead. And then she's like, opens an eye and I'm like, oh my god. So I'm like trying to keep her warm. She's got like her little reptile heater, but I also put the movable, what are they? Oil heaters?
Okay, yeah.
So we have one of those, right there. It's on right now, so. But she's so...
Getting cold in California.
Cold, I know, right? Well, it's she's an Australian. I guess that's where they come from, is Australia. So it's interesting. I have these, I love all animals, but thinking she's dead twice a day is murdering my soul. But she's not mine. Yeah. She's my daughter's, and I'm like, this little reptile will not die on my watch. Mm-hmm. She's looking at us right now. I don't. Some of our new listeners might not have heard that I've described Beth as the female Ace Ventura anyway, so it kind of makes sense that you would be worrying a great deal about this new animal in your house. It was one of the nicest things anyone's ever said. You were like, you're like the cross between Snow White and Ace Ventura, and I was like. I don't even know what you would call that. Listeners, come up with a nickname for that.
I think we landed on Snow Ventura, but if somebody wants to workshop that, absolutely.
Please. So yeah, that's what's happening. And I'm dealing with roaches and mealworms and crickets, and I spent probably an hour and a half, 2 hours driving around trying to find bugs in the last week. And I've probably spent $100 US on bugs.
On bugs?
Yeah. Trying to find can you mail order them? Nope.
Is there a very specific type of bug that...
Yes. It's not just that. It's size of bug because she's little, and I guess crickets will actually eat the lizard if it's small enough.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So I'm we're freaking out because she was covered in crickets the other day and Harper's screaming, and I'm I had to pick her up and kill all the, not really, but if they get too big, yeah, they'll and she's so little, her little toes, they can bite a toe off.
Why?
I know. Anyways.
Why?
So it's, just don't nap on me ever because I'll think you're dead.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good to know. Yeah. Lizards right there.
Anyways. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. What's the
since last we spoke, I have, lots of movies as always. I got access to Mubi. It's a subscription film service. So basically it's a lot of I guess, more art house films, less mainstream stuff.
Cool.
And I just kind of want to start watching more movies rather than shows, I've decided. So there's a number of different things I kind of want to watch on there, including which I'm quite looking forward to. Megalopolis, the Francis Ford Coppola movie that came out last year.
Have you checked out the cast?
I haven't watched it yet. I know. It's supposed to be completely insane. So I'm excited for that.
I mean, I'm I might actually like pay money to watch that. So we could do it the whatever we want month.
Oh, jeez, do it like a Francis Ford Coppola
Yeah.
season. Hey man, why not?
Yeah.
Like, so what I'd say is you probably find a lot of stuff that you would like on here, and like honestly, if you look, they do like get 3 months for like a couple of dollars sorts of thing. So it's worth. It was MUBI. Anyway, the movie.
We have Tubi and you have Movie.
We have both actually. So do you guys, I think. Yeah. So
awesome.
I watched The Mastermind on there, which I had been wanting to watch for a long time, but it was really fantastic, and it's such an incredible depiction of confident incompetence.
Ooh.
So it's about this guy who lives in the suburbs, who like is kind of a jobless loser. He's got rich parents, he's got a wife and kids, but his wife works and he doesn't really do anything, but he decides he's going to become an art thief, and he stages this art heist, and it just goes south, let's say.
Interesting.
And it's really good.
It's got Josh O'Connor. Oh, I'm excited.
It does. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. It just ends wonderfully. Like it's got this really it's got this jazz soundtrack that whenever things are kind of at least seemingly going well, it's kind of really upbeat and kind of like energetic, and then like it kind of goes wrong and the kind of jazz soundtrack kind of collapses as well. But it's really wonderful.
Awesome.
I went down to visit my friends for a weekend as well, which was lovely. The same place I kind of always go to down in Fermanagh. That was great. There's lots of like, I love spending time there because it's like 2 sort of like nebulous days where I'm just like, I don't have anything I need to do. I can just hang out. I can spend time with my friends. I can play board games and things like that. Yeah. So it was lovely. And then, in a complete sort of like, maybe not entirely the opposite of The Mastermind, I went to see Send Help on Tuesday night of this week.
Is it worth seeing? Sam Raimi.
Good.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
It's back to his like, back to that insane craziness that I love Raimi for.
Yeah,
like that
Evil
movie
Dead.
is nuts.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I saw
I
saw the trailer, and it's like it's always interesting to see like the director of blah and blah, and it was like the director of Evil Dead and like Army of Darkness, and I was like, or something like that. I know it said Evil Dead, so I was like, okay, if he's putting that on there, then this is something I'm gonna want to see. I'm so jealous.
So gross and so like full on, and exactly what you want from a Raimi movie. So I definitely recommend it. Yeah, it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it.
I wish like Rachel McAdams, I know you're listening.
Yes.
Just keep working, because we just love you.
She's so good in this, and like as was pointed out, I read the podcast that I listened to has covered Raimi before, so they covered this movie, and they were talking about like she just hasn't really done much over the past like 10 years or so, but like it's that whole thing with Hollywood where it's like once you get over 40, it's virtually impossible to find roles for the vast majority of actresses, and it sucks,
God forbid, like she probably had some kids, right? And then that's like 2 strikes against you.
How can you do that to Hollywood?
I know.
But like, she looks incredible, like, and like, not that matters, but like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's so arbitrary kind of what happens to a lot of actresses, and she's, she doesn't admit, she's so good throwing herself so fully into the Raimi insanity, like great acting, really game for all the kind of crazy shit, and also, so many other things. Okay. She's just wonderful. So it was so good to see that. Such a great movie, and just so great to see her doing something fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I just rewatched the Cillian Murphy movie with her, where he's like, they're on an airplane and he's a psychopath, and it's like, I'm gonna.
It's like Red Eye or something. Yeah,
and I was like, I think that's it was before Cillian kind of went, I don't know, not mainstream, but like before he became like,
yes,
all uppercase. Right. It's Cillian Murphy. Or sorry,
it is called Red Eye. How did I pull that? That's insane. What is wrong with my brain? I've never seen that film.
It's definitely it's definitely if you really are, wanting to watch something a little mindless. with good acting. Anyways,
it's a Wes Craven movie as well. It's quite cool. Fascinating. So that was all for me this week. Do you have any other what's
I have some what's occurring.
You have some what's occurring?
Okay, so we've been talking about dadcore, which I've been spelling wrong on the internet. I'm sorry, everyone. It doesn't have a P. It's Core.
Oh, right. You're doing the American core, the Marine Corps.
And I was like, okay, let's make a new core. Unit Core God Country. So, this person says, I've already recommended The Accountant to Andy as recent dadcore gem. In this case, the dadcore wish fulfillment take on high-functioning autism, i.e. that it makes you a super smart badass loner with no real downside other than a comically effective lack of riz. The Accountant 2 is weak sauce, however, as much of the humor in it deliberately reeks of Ben Affleck and John Bernthal saying, can you believe that they wanted us to make another accountant film? Dadcore does not mock itself, smiley face. So thank you to our top fan. And I was like, I kind of looked into The Accountant and The Accountant 2. And I mentioned this online, but Artist Equity is the production company behind The Accountant 2, and Artist Equity is owned by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know what it's like. It's meta, I guess. It's not even...
It's like, yeah, that's so true. It is very much the snake eating its own tail. It's very Ouroboros sort of thing. Yep. I mean, it's so fascinating, the kind of films that would only really kind of exist because somebody's rich enough that they can produce it themselves. You know what I mean? It's very interesting indeed. Yes. I mean, like, I absolutely would watch The Accountant. I mean, it would, I just have not got around to it as yet. I'm sure we'll have a Ben Affleck season at some stage, and throw The Accountant in there.
Agreed. There's one other. So we were talking about. We had a Basic Instinct conversation from episode. I have no idea. Love that one. We had a great time. It was super fun. Do you remember?
Yeah, of course.
So this person said, and
it must be in Sphere.
Yeah. Probably. So that would have been 121. So this person says that guy is so right, as well as being a perpetual cosplay goal of mine. The V-neck occurs before the most graphic sex scene in a movie and becomes almost a symbol of Nick's I'm gonna fuck this up. I'm sorry. Thanateros. I had to Google this. The concept of sex scene in the movie and becomes almost the concept of the convergence of the self-destructive death drive and the erotic sex drive, smiley face. Nick confides afterwards that he experienced the fuck of the century, and what made it so was the strong suspicion that he would have been fatally stabbed with an ice pick in the midst of it. So there you go, my mini thesis on the V-neck of Thanateros.
Amazing.
I know.
I mean, like, certainly that does spice things up a bit if you think you might get murdered when you're having sex. So, like,
with an ice pick, right? So
with an ice pick,
yeah. So my response was like, "All right, everyone, like, update your Amazon wish list." Sorry.
It's one of those things where I'm kind of like, and I know it's maybe just not. It speaks to the kind of guy I am, but like, if a guy came up to me and goes, like, even somebody I knew goes, I had the fuck of the century last night, I'm just like, okay,
yeah,
cool, man. Yeah. I can't wait to talk to you about this fuck that you had, yeah. But yeah, 'cause I guess some guys do, but it's just odd to me.
Yeah.
It feels very kind of ego stroking, do you know what I mean? If
Absolutely.
You're telling me how good the sex you're having was,
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
it's just,
anyway.
But if it's Michael Douglas, you'd probably listen.
Yeah, I mean, my ears would perk up. If Michael Douglas, like, grabbed my arm and goes, man, like, I gotta tell you something. I'm like, okay, whatever you want to tell me, dude. Alright, so, if you're listening, Michael, anytime you want to talk to me about your sex life, am I okay with
but
that?
only Michael Douglas.
Only Michael Douglas. Anybody else can fuck off.
All right. Do you have any down with the streets?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
Do you want to get into our...
Absolutely.
All right. We watched True Romance.
Yeah, True Romance. You know, what a... Right, so... here's what... Because I was going into this and I was like, right... I remember this movie being kind of unsettling and upsetting, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. And then I put it on and I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is a Tony Scott movie?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, this is not going to be this is going to be quite nice and blockbustery, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a nice time. And I was trying to figure out what happened there in terms of like my perception of it, and I think I had conflated it with Natural Born Killers somehow.
Yes.
And it's not that film at all. It's not even close to that film. It's like, it's way more, you know, it's obviously there's some harsh stuff in there, but like it's a lot more mainstream and a lot more sort of like gentle in terms of the story it's trying to tell, than certainly Natural Born Killers would be. So it feels like, even though I've seen it before, it feels like I was watching it for the first time here. So
I had not thought I'd seen it, but I have, and I was like, oh, right.
Okay.
But I was shocked by the amount of like, there's a scene, we'll get into it, but there's a scene, not a scene, it's like fucking 15 minutes where one of the main characters, Alabama, gets the shit kicked out of her by none other than James Gandolfini, which we'll talk about. But that was a really hard scene for me to watch, I will say.
Yes.
That was hard. But also, like, I'm gonna, just a quick synopsis. Clarence, love the name, meets Beds and he falls in love. And the next day he marries a prostitute, or a call girl, named... sex worker. She calls herself a call girl. That's why I said that, but she's a sex worker. But only for 4 days. And then she meets this guy. And they're very specific that she's like, I've only been a call girl for 4 days. And he's like, only 4 days? Do you have a pimp? And she's like, every call girl has a pimp. And so yeah, 4 days. So very specific. I don't know if that's supposed to like make her seem more, I don't know, attractive, that she's only been doing it for 4 days. I
bet you that was part of the calculation a little bit.
Yeah,
like
anyways.
Sort of fairly messed up ways.
Right.
Yeah.
So they get married. She's trying to get her belongings from her pimp Drexel, played by Gary Oldman, which we'll get into. A
culturally nuanced performance.
Holy Toledo. So they grab a suitcase and they get in the car and they drive away in Clarence's pink Cadillac. Oops, that suitcase is full of cocaine that is owned by the mafia. And so they're trying to sell the cocaine through their connections, with their actor friend played by Michael Rappaport, who, well, I can talk about that a little bit. And of course, the mob is close behind. Christopher Walken is coming for you, so it's it's serious business. Anyways, and so, you know, things ensue based on that, which we can get into.
They really do.
They really do.
Yeah, it is very, I mean, like right from the start, it has all the kind of like earmarks of a Quentin Tarantino script. The guy talking about endlessly about Elvis too much. Like really, and like these big kind of run-on sort of conversations that are like, and like, you know, for better or for worse, whatever you think about Quentin Tarantino, I think he refined these conversations as time went on. But I feel like it's both. It has interesting stuff, and you could see why this, you know, certainly would have felt very different at the time, but like looking back on it now after like 10 Quentin Tarantino films, it feels a bit derivative, and it feels like a blueprint for what he eventually became in terms of his writing. So like there's fun stuff in there for sure, but it is also kind of like like Beth mentioned, there's definitely some really kind of hard hitting stuff in here. It's brutal, but it feels like a bit of a like fairy story, like a kind of like true crime fairy story in some ways as well. It has this sort of like whimsical sort of like feel to a lot of it as well. It's just it's weird. It's the tone of it's a strange film.
It is. So it was written by Quentin Tarantino. It was directed by Tony Scott. Mm-hmm. I guess that Tarantino... Well, I can get into that a little bit, but he sold this script to Tony Scott for like $10,000.
Okay. 10,000?
Yeah, that's how much he made on this. So he could fund and direct Reservoir Dogs.
I see.
Okay. So I've been... Our top fan and I have been trying to get Andy to watch some Terrence Malick movies, mm-hmm. and like no one even hides the fact that this is an absolute, like, not a ripoff, but like they use the same music as in Badlands, the movie by Terrence Malick.
That's where I recognized it from.
Yes. So Hans Zimmer, love him. We'll get into that. But yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen Badlands, but I knew the piece of music. It's very recognizable.
It is. It's beautiful. I love it, but it definitely has this like it's like the golden hour, right?
Yes.
That's kind of what there's like the rose-colored glasses are just like put over this movie. Mm-hmm. The narration in the beginning is literally like right out of Badlands. It's her in her sweet, Southern accent talking about what's happening and what love means to her. And I was like, okay, I know exactly but then they go on a killing spree in this movie Badlands, which is actually based on a real story of two people that go on a killing spree. Anyways, so yeah, it's this is another sign that you need to watch some Terrence.
Yes,
bro.
Absolutely. Yes, it is 100%.
I was like, you can't hide it you can't run from it anymore, true. Andy. This is.
I think I'm gonna have to, and I mean, like, it's a good excuse for me finally. Like, It is a massive cinematic blind spot for me, so it is a good excuse. I feel like, I think we need to address a little bit why True Romance is appearing. No, because the only reason why I'm thinking we should do that is because we probably, at the end of last week's episode, we said it would be happening as part of our Samuel L. Jackson run.
Psych!
So, it's been moved forwards. When you'll be hearing it will be sometime in the future. The reason for that was we started watching it, and fairly big spoiler for Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson is in it for maybe about a minute.
Yeah. So this was supposed to be part of our Samuel L. Jackson month, and it was like...
It was.
But he's so memorable.
He is. He's incredible in it.
He is. Yeah. For the 3 minutes that he's in it. So, yeah, I was like, I don't think we can do this. We got to do Samuel L. Jackson justice. So this will become probably, we'll figure it out. This will be the segue to Malick, probably. Yeah. Because everyone is in this movie, so we can find a way.
Yes, they are.
Everybody. Do you want to talk about Tony Scott?
Yes, I will. So, it's interesting that it's the first time he kind of appeared on this, has appeared on our podcast, certainly so far. I'm a massive film director, probably, like, he is seen as, like, I think, a blockbuster and kind of fairly commercial director, like, so, probably most famous for Top Gun, which was a phenomenon.
I didn't know that.
But also he did, he did. He also did Crimson Tide. He did things like Beverly Hills Cop 2. He worked with like Denzel Washington a lot. He's got a number of different movies under his belt. He is also famously the brother of Ridley Scott. Probably a more prominent director, I guess, Ridley Scott versus Tony. I don't know. Like, I mean, certainly in terms of like what Tony was doing was, as say, more of a mainstream sort of thing than what Ridley Scott does, and like, don't get me wrong, Ridley Scott has some good movies and some bad movies too, but I think Tony
TV
Scott
shows.
Yes, but I think he was, as I say, more straightforward, and I think, like, as a result, has made some amazing films within that, because I think that Crimson Tide is another kind of fantastic film. It is.
Is that Tom?
And I kind of like
is Crimson Tide? Is that Tom Clancy?
No, Crimson Tide isn't Tom Clancy. That is Hunt for the Red October.
Okay, so that. Yeah, this is Jack Ryan. Gotcha.
And it also kind of makes sense to me now because like I don't think I'd linked it all together because I know that Quentin Tarantino did punch up on the script for Crimson Tide because there's a whole section where they're talking about Silver Surfer and I'm like, well, yeah, it's Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. Even like
you just
the big
know.
perfect section
yes.
in this film,
yes.
you know, it's like,
yes.
yeah, that's rings so true.
Yes.
I like, you know, wonderful director, kind of sad, and I was, you know, was reading a bit more about it because I knew he died relatively young. He committed suicide.
Oh, I didn't know
and it really sucks. Yeah, and it was just like, and it was like one of those things where there's no real. They knew he was undergoing cancer treatment, but he was in recovery as far as people know. He did have, like a history of like mental health stuff, like and he was on antidepressants and things like that. But yeah, so it was a sad end because like he was already working on a follow up to Top Gun 2 before it happened as well, sadly. So, but yeah, like I feel like I don't want to say like a commercial director as a negative, and I have been saying that already. I think there is something other like in terms of the craft and in terms of making a film that can do well commercially is an incredible talent, and he did it exceptionally well.
Good. Yeah, I don't want to speak ill because, yeah. I didn't know that he was brothers with Ridley Scott. How sad for Ridley that he lost his brother.
Right?
Yeah.
And hey, even if the only film that you made was Top Gun ever,
yeah,
brother, that's all you need. That is an incredible masterpiece, and he should be, you know, held aloft as a true talent just purely for that. But again, many other great films under his belt as well.
Yes. Okay, so obviously the script smells of Quentin Tarantino because he wrote the script with a friend named Roger Avery. So Roger Avery also worked with him on Reservoir Dogs, but also did Beowulf, and both him and Quentin are Oscar winners for Pulp Fiction, which we'll talk about when we watch Quentin Tarantino movies or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, where do you get this idea for this true romance other than stealing it from Terrence Malick and Badlands and a true crime? So we know that like Quentin Tarantino loves like this idea of like pulp comic books. So I guess that he and Avery were like working on some kind of script called Open Road. Yeah, he was like, Tarantino was working at a store clerk in Manhattan Beach in the video archives along with Roger Avery. And they were like, oh, we are here in the archives. Let's just write our own. So the ideas that they came up with, because I guess like the 50-page script became a 500-page script because Quentin likes to, you know,
pontificate.
Well, it's that. What is that? You told that story about Fiona Apple and why she had stopped doing cocaine. What was it again?
Because she was sitting with I believe it was Quentin Tarantino and Paul Thomas Anderson, and they were both in coke talking about movies, and she was sitting with them, and she said it was one of those torturous nights of her life, basically.
And that's why she like got off the drugs. So, anyways, I just think that that's funny. So, a lot of this 500-page script became True Romance and Natural Born Killers. So if it smells a little of Natural Born Killers a little bit too, you know, they took a lot from this original script and put it into that movie. So I guess that there were like romance comic books from World War II. It's a whole genre. Yes. And so it was influenced by like the radio soap operas before TV was like a big thing. Dealt with stories of love and affairs and things being messy and complicated, and so that's sort of like the title and the plot of True Romance is kind of a play on the corny titles of these comic books. I guess, you know, they're not popular anymore, that kind of comic book, but anyways. So, yeah, I guess it's just kind of like the Bible of pop culture for this.
Yeah,
what were you gonna say?
No, I'm really kind of like, I am kind of bowled over. I just was like, I looked up Natural Born Killers and I was like, yes, story by Quentin Tarantino. And it's like, wow. I had no idea that, like, I think I knew he wrote True Romance,
yeah.
but I had no idea that he'd written that as well. Yeah. Or at least provided the story for that, I should say.
When my sister was dating this boyfriend in high school that my dad called Bondo. Do you guys have Bondo? It's like what you slap on like your car when there's a dent to like make it look less like a dent. My dad was like, "Oh, she's sitting out in the driveway with Bondo." I was like, "Oh my god!" But they would just like lay on the couch and hug and watch Natural Born Killers like every weekend. And I'm 4 years younger than her, and I was just like, "What are they even doing? This is so weird." But for some people, True Romance and Natural Born Killers is a love story. So,
like, it is, and I suppose it's supposed to be like a, and I suppose both of them are supposed to be like a Bonnie and Clyde type thing, like a kind of riff on that idea,
It's like, I was listening to the My Favorite Murder podcast, and they were talking about folie deux, like this concept of like the insanity of two people like colliding and and bad things happening. It's not just a movie with Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix. It's a French term from long ago. God. But I think that I'm just thinking through Quentin Tarantino's movies, and I feel like that is like a very common theme in pretty much every single one. Yeah, even like male friendships can be the folie deux. Have the folie deux.
Yep. So true.
Anyways.
Love it. Okay, so I think, once again, first time he's appeared in the podcast, but the music was done by Hans Zimmer.
Who?
Hans... Yeah,
right. How do you spell?
Hans Zimmer. Right? Probably the most famous working composer today, I would say. Like, again, another guy, and like, what do I say about him? He's another one who has rudely not won a Tony. He has won. He's got an ego. Well, he doesn't have an EGOT. So like, come on. Who are the people working at Tony over there? Come on, he does music. This is obscene. He doesn't have a Tony.
Let's think about a perfect Broadway show that we would make that would star whoever we want, and then also music by Hans Zimmer. Music by Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would say, I mean, maybe you haven't heard of him, but again, he's incredibly famous. He has done a ton of movies. He's worked with like a lot of very kind of famous filmmakers, probably most prominently Christopher Nolan. He has worked with Denis Villeneuve on the most recent Dune movies. I think his music for them was absolutely fantastic. He is so well known, and his works are so well known that he like literally tours.
He does.
And plays his music.
He does.
Like, I know people who love him and have went to see him.
Yeah.
Actually, I would quite like to do it as well, but I just haven't had the chance.
We could go on the road and just like kind of like people follow the dead. We can just follow Hans Zimmer.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good. I would be.
Let's spend a year doing that when we're like we're retired and wealthy from this podcast. And
could we be roadies for Hans Zimmer? I would be.
Fuck yeah.
For that, right?
It's hard work being a roadie, but yes.
I mean, I was gonna say probably at that age our backs won't be up for it, but it's fine. But yeah, like, incredible, and like I think that like certainly. There's not a ton in here that like is like, it's a very competent score, but like I think that like it's that seems very rude to call it perfunctory, but like it's a very functional score for what we've said is like a sort of like fairly fucked up in places, but like a fairy tale type thing. It's quite dreamlike and kind of quite silly in a lot of ways, and I think it kind of matches the energy quite well, or at least contributes to the energy quite well.
I agree. I think it makes it almost feel like there's certain parts that it feels dreamlike.
Yeah.
And maybe that's, I don't know, if Tony Scott was going for like that feeling of like when you're newly in love or you're in love or whatever, and it does feel a little dreamy, right?
It does.
And so those portions where this song that is stolen from Badlands that Hans Zimmer repurposed, not stolen, borrowed. Sorry, you guys. I'm like clearly, I don't know what my deal is today.
I think as well, like they also just, to be clear, like they use a lot of pre-existing songs as well, and there's like lots of great choices. Like there's like some Aerosmith, some Soundgarden, things like that. I think they are some wonderful. They fit the movie quite well. Because like one of the things I wrote down was old Aerosmith is good? Question mark. And I thoroughly that I think that might be the most controversial take I've had in this podcast. But like it's maybe because of my attachment to Aerosmith as a kid, But like it was actually really great hearing a sort of like early 90s Aerosmith track in this. It was just like, these guys just actually have something, and then they kind of went very kind of
Armageddon.
Yes.
That was.
I think it was downhill from there.
That was for me. I was like, "What happened? What is this?" Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to talk about favorite actors?
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things that got me a little bit distracted was I was looking at cast, and I saw that Jack Black's in this, and I'm like, what? Right? He is.
Val Kilmer. I missed too.
Val Kilmer is Elvis.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I kind of knew that because like it was quite famous. I remember at the time that Val Kilmer was Elvis in this, but like you just don't see him. You just like you never really see his face or anything like that. You just see his like body.
He's so fucking cool.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
But Jack Black was a cinema usher, basically.
Okay. Lucky him, man. So I wrote,
right?
Yeah, like, I wrote, because I have questions for you, obviously. I did say, I'll come back to Elvis. I did say, like, since Tommy Wiseau was just in, Tommy Wiseau is a director that watched The Room, go to episode, I don't know, and watch that or listen to it, because we go deep in depth of this movie, The Room, in the early days of the podcast, so probably in the like 50s, maybe 70s, I don't know. But I compare all love scenes with The Room, so they have like some love scenes between the two of them, and I'm like, if there's not a rose petal stuck to someone's butt, like it's not for me.
I'm not interested,
right? So I was like, I don't know, Elvis. I watched Priscilla. Did I tell you this? With Jacob Elordi, and then it was directed by
I've seen it.
Sofia Coppola. There's a lot of Elvis movies out right now that have come out in the last couple of years. Do you get the Elvis obsession?
He was never like, I think, an incredible artist who I've never really had any massive connection to, but there's songs I think of his that are truly incredible, that like are meaningful to me, but I've never had that big connection with him,
Would you ever dress up as Elvis?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, one of the reasons why I don't think I would is that I feel like that's something that would be overdone, too many people have done that, so it just feels less interesting to me. I like to do really kind of stupid,
obscure,
that nobody will understand. Like, I went as Halloween years ago to an art college, so they should know him better, as Ash from The Evil Dead, with like full chainsaw hand and everything, and people were like, "Oh, was it Texas Chainsaw Massacre?" And I'm like, "No." Apart from the chainsaw, how is this anything like Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Anyway,
which is also so. Andy knows I'm obsessed with the serial killer Ed Gein. I don't know if he was much of a serial killer as like someone who would, or a grave robber, but he was the idea for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre came from him.
Yes.
Okay, so obviously like Patricia Arquette was amazing. Christian Slater was amazing. Christopher Walken was amazing. Samuel L. Jackson, for the 3 minutes that he was in this, was amazing.
Yes.
James Gandolfini, you guys. I was like, because I could never quite figure out why. So James Gandolfini was Tony Soprano in The Sopranos, directed by David Chase, created by David Chase, and I could never figure out like what anyone saw in him, because he plays all these little bit characters for so long, and then all of a sudden he's like the mob boss. And watching this movie, I was like, oh, I get it. He got this part in this major show that changed the world and probably changes the way that we look at the mafia. Please don't come after me, everyone that's in the mafia. But he's that scary and terrifying, and he's like, he's fucking Tony Soprano in that scene, beating up Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, it's really brutal, and like, I think that like he's also like a big guy as well. And I think you kind of forget that. Like, I think he's like over 6 foot for sure, and he's also like, especially in Sopranos, he's not only, because I think like at first you look at him, you're like, oh, he's not like that scary, but he's like, his frame is big, he's tall, and he's also carrying some like weight. You're like, that's a guy that's a scary guy.
Yeah, and he like has a giant head too. So if he headbutts you, like, you're gonna get CTE, right?
Yes. So properly scary in this, and you can see why this and other things led to him getting The Sopranos.
Yes. Gary Oldman. Do you want to talk about Gary Oldman?
Let's talk about Gary Oldman first. So, like, you know, he is billed as a guy who wants to be black and like wants to like put on black mannerisms and stuff. So you kind of know what you're going to get before you even see him. But it's like, imagine an English actor doing an American accent as somebody who's trying to appear as a black person, and it's messy.
It is messy.
It's really messy. It is messy. Even as, you know, going in knowing he's going to be an offensive guy, it's still really messy, and it's like, okay. Again, doesn't have a ton of things to do in the movie, which I'm kind of grateful for, but it's a very interesting role.
There's this scene between him and Christian Slater, or Clarence, where they're like, he's like, basically they're like playing, I don't know, toss the ball, but with a light fixture, where they're just like throwing this really low light fixture, extremely low, I guess, so you can see the cocaine you're doing, over this table, and it's like, it's watchable. So in 2011, he gave an interview to the American Film Institute, and now he's Sir Gary Oldman. Let's not forget. Sorry, Gary.
Yeah, it's true.
And he was asked which like roles were his favorite, so he chose Lee Harvey Oswald in JFK, which now I'm gonna have to go rewatch that, and Drexel Spivey in this movie.
Whoa, really?
Yes.
How insane, Gary.
I know. And maybe his answer would change now that it's like, you know, much.
Have we talked about it before, the movie he did about where he was playing a little person? It's like, it's interesting.
I have my head in my hands, everybody.
It's so the movie's called Tiptoes, right? No. And it's basically about this guy who marries, or he meets this girl, and she actually, her family are all sort of little people, and like Gary Oldman is playing one of those people, like on his knees doing this thing, and like this film was like, is like 2002, so it's not like it's like it's a while ago. Obviously, it's more than 20 years, but it's wild. I saw him being like,
Patricia Arquette is also in the movie Tiptoes.
Yeah. The trailer for it is insane.
I have to. I have to know more. Well, I know what I'm doing this afternoon.
So like,
wow.
I saw him interviewed, I think, last year, and he was like, here's what you need to understand. I hadn't had a load of work for a while. It was in the midst of like some sort of strike. I just had a divorce. I had 2 little kids to look after, and I needed money, and this came along, and this was going to give me money to live, and I took the role.
Yes.
It's like, okay.
Yes.
But it's wild.
I think like 0.0005% of actors can actually like pick whatever they want. I think the majority of them are like, no, I need to work and make money and like whatever. So truly wild. So like, yeah, if you want your mind boggled, look for the Tiptoes trailer. It is a fascinating watch. 2 other people I wanted to talk about in the cast were Bronson Pinchot. Always nice to see him playing a normal guy. So that's
cousin Bulky from Perfect Strangers.
Oh yes,
right?
Balky. I was like, right? It's Balky.
Yeah.
Did you guys have Perfect Strangers?
Yes, I remember watching it as a kid. Like, I don't know under what circumstances, but I do remember watching it. Like, and also,
you were sick at home.
He was, yes, and he was like an important part of like the Beverly Hills Cop movies as well, playing another sort of weird guy.
I forgot about that.
So it was interesting, like seeing him play like just like a normal guy as such, you know, like this kind of straightforward guy, and I'm like, I want more insanity from you, to be honest with you, but like, you know, he was fine.
Yeah.
I also always love to see Saul Rubinek, who plays Lee Donowitz, you know, the film producer. Yes. I think he's great. Like, he's always so good when I see him. He just has this, like, I don't know, like, spark to him or whatever, or like this sort of, like, bite to him that's really kind of interesting to watch. He's always, like, fun when he turns up, you know?
Yeah. You're like, there he is. It's going to be good. It's true. It's true. Any other standout performances?
I think, did you want to talk about Michael Rappaport before we move on?
Yeah, you know, like...
He's a weird dude.
He's a weird dude. I just need to talk a little bit about, not so much his act. I always love him in anything I see him in, but now he's gone down like the Bravo. Do you guys have Bravo?
No, I'm kind of aware of what it is.
Okay, so it's like Andy Cohen has created this whole like industry of the Real Housewife shows. Michael Rappaport is like obsessive.
Yes, I've heard this about him.
About these shows. He goes on Andy Cohen's show like every so often. He just did Traitors, I guess, which is a show I have not watched. And he was so hated. And I'm just like, he seems likable, but then like, I don't know. I can't quite figure the dude out. Michael, what's up? Give us a ring and let's have you on our show.
I don't know if we want to be in touch with Michael Rappaport.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
I can't even remember now, and it's been a while since I have looked into him, but I know there's a ton of like really kind of odd stuff about him, how he has behaved and so on. So yeah. I do a search, and it's like, one of the first things that comes up is what happened to Michael Rappaport. And it's like, okay.
Yep. And maybe he's not getting like roles anymore, or he needs some different hobbies. Don't know.
I think he's one of these guys who like has certainly made like, you know, homophobic or kind of racist comments and things like that, and he's just kind of like, it's just how I talk sort of thing, because like he was sort of like so steeped in, I guess he came up at a time when he thought that was kind of okay. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but he definitely seems like an odd dude.
Yeah. That's all I have to say. I was like, please, we need to talk about him, but like, because what's happening? Maybe he needs, maybe if he needs some friends, he can call. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
Okay. So, I guess like, I like, you know, common themes of other movies. It's more like, I feel like, and I don't want, this is just my opinion. Please, no one like hate on me, or you can, whatever. So I just feel like there's no point to there's no like lesson to a lot of Tarantino movies. And I felt like with this, like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, why do you need to have a lesson, or why do you need to like learn anything? But I guess like there wasn't much point to the movie.
Yeah, I suppose it was like very much the journey. So, you know, one of those movies that it's like it's about the journey, I suppose, but it's also kind of like, I don't know. I mean, like, they are ultimately two like pretty kind of dumb kids, and
like the note that she's writing after like she's gotten the shit kicked out of her in a scene, you guys, that took 5 days for them to shoot.
Yikes.
And was like, I don't know, at least 10 or 15 minutes of the movie was him just like beating her up, James Gandolfini. Yes. But like, you know, he could beat me up any day, even in heaven. So I forgot where I was going with that.
No, we're talking about themes and stuff like that. And I think, you know, it definitely does feel like, and because like, and they leave a lot of like, you know, death and destruction in their wake as well. So it's just kind of like, you know, certainly I think with the way everything kind of winds up in the film, it feels like their fate is fairly undeserving, because they essentially are able to walk away scot-free with like a ton of money, you know, and it's like, I don't dislike them as characters, but I also ultimately don't think they really deserve to kind of walk away scot-free.
No, and they killed like a bunch of like police officers and
Yeah.
everybody. They killed everybody basically, and then they're like, okay, get the money, and like she's like writing a note that's like, you're so cool, and then they like drive to Mexico and essentially like probably live happily ever after, or maybe they have like a Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid, or maybe they become the characters in Natural Born Killers. Hard to know. Quentin, let us know what your plan was there. So much like Tarantino movies, I guess, there wasn't really much point. And I don't think that... Okay, that's not true. So there was the original script. I think Clarence dies. One of them dies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they were like, no, let's have it be more of a happy ending. So it is. Okay. It is very much like, and then they got in the car with the money and they drove away and everything was happy, which, that's okay.
It is, but like and it's fine. I think sometimes, but it ultimately felt pretty unsatisfying. I think that like I really liked Patricia Arquette's character. I really liked Alabama, but I don't know how much I liked Christian Slater's character, honestly. So I think that probably put a bit of a wrinkle in it for me. Because he seems kind of like an antisocial kind of like weirdo, and like I can say that as an antisocial weirdo myself.
You would totally go see like a triple movie of kung fu on a Saturday. 100%. Right?
Yeah. In a heartbeat.
Yep. So, and that's what his character is doing in the beginning of the movie. And I don't know. Okay, so I just some general notes, and then if I have a few facts, if you want to hear them. Dennis Hopper plays Clarence's father, and there's a torture scene with him too, and we'll get to that a little bit if we talk about facts. Anyways, so he's like, hey, this is my new wife, and she's like, I'm his wife, and he's like, they hang out. There's lots of arguing about beer, and then they hang out, and at the end of it, like Dennis Hopper's like, she's a good lady, and she's like, they're like, okay, we gotta go, and he's like, bye, and she's like, she starts making out with Dennis Hopper, and I was like, ugh, and he's like, Dad, not cool, and I was like, this is disgusting. So I really, Dennis Hopper kissing his daughter-in-law, ew, and I said that in like a Garth voice, like, ew.
I think it's a very Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah, to be honest, totally. There's a line where Christopher Walken is like, I think he shoots Dennis Hopper, and he's like, I haven't killed someone since 1984, and I was like, that's a good line. That's a great line. And then he was like, I gotta like, clean off, freshen up or whatever, and he dips his like hanky in the fish tank and then like washes his face, and I was like, what the fuck?
Gross.
And then there was a scene where like James Gandolfini's trying to find Alabama and Clarence, and he goes to like Clarence's house, and like his roommate's there. His roommate is Brad Pitt. So there's this scene where James Gandolfini and Brad Pitt are in the same frame. Yeah. And that was like, holy shit, they acted together.
Yes. Yeah. It's nuts, like it really is.
That was a little nutty for me. So yeah.
Like even like so we're running out of time if you do want to get into facts, but like even how Brad Pitt being in this and barely being in it is so fascinating. Like it's such a time capsule of that moment this film was, because there's this film is absolutely stacked to the rafters with like film stars. Yes. But like so many of them are just in it briefly, it's fascinating. Yeah, and it really is.
It's probably because Tony. Obviously Quentin wasn't bringing the actors, right? That came later. Yeah. So it was all because of Tony Scott. It's so stacked that you're just like, oh my god, this person, oh my god, this person, and like they're in it for hardly any time at all. Okay, so let's see where we are. Oh yeah. Okay, so just some quick facts. So the bong used by Floyd, Brad Pitt, was called Russell and belonged to a climbing friend of Tony Scott. So I always love a good bong / pipe reference where they're like, this means so much to me, man. Put it in your movie. I'm like, yeah. Amazing.
Was one of the bongs he used like a kind of honey?
Yes.
Like one of those bear-shaped things, like a honey bear container or something?
There were two. He did a honey bear, and then there was also, like later on,
full bong.
Although he didn't direct the film, Quentin Tarantino actually stated that this is one of his favorite films from his work, and it's also the most like autobiographical. Where I'm like, tell me more about that. That's the information I would like to know.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Clearance shows Alabama, a Nick Fury comic book. This film features Samuel L. Jackson in a single scene, who will later go on to play Nick Fury in a Marvel Cinematic Universe. I was excited about that. So let's see. Okay. I told you about the 5 days to shoot the fight scene. The sunglasses Christian Slater wears. There's a lot of like not even themes, like props that show up. Like, I will say Tarantino likes to have threads that are connecting all of his movies. I love that. I love that shit. So the sunglasses Christian Slater wears through the movie can also be seen on Uma Thurman in Kill Bill Volume 1. Yeah. She takes them from Buck after she wakes up from her coma, and she wears them to shield her eyes from those bright hospital lights.
Yeah.
Director Tony Scott slapped Patricia Arquette on set. He did so with her permission. But I guess by the end of shooting, she was like, can you get the persuader out? And like, so she was able to like be, being her best actor in those certain scenes.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Isn't that messed up?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read this verbatim. In 1993, Christian Slater said that he couldn't resist falling in love with the woman he worked with in movies. They've all been beautiful, he told People magazine. Granted, this is like early 90s. I'm sure he's like married and has a family. And now he's in like family movies. Some of that compatibility may show through the camera in this movie in which he stars with Patricia Arquette. We got very close. It's one of those unavoidable things, he said. Their nude love scenes, he said, was really special. I lost sight of the crew being around. It was the first time nothing in the outside really mattered. Also, I don't know what award this is, but greatest drug conversation about doing a drug deal happened on a roller coaster.
Yeah, it was great.
It was good. I guess like Michael Rappaport is terrified of roller coasters, so he got motion sick, and no one knew this. Like, so first day of filming, they were like, that was the first thing they were trying to film, and then there's there's a reason that he looks so scared and barfy. It's because he actually was.
Because he genuinely is amazing.
Yes.
Love it.
Okay, one more. I have one more.
One more?
So this scene where James Gandolfini beats up Alabama was heavily like trimmed by the people that do the ratings. And Tarantino recalls that they were like less concerned about her being beaten than they were about her actually fighting back, and they said that she's too animalistic.
Wow.
Blah! It's gross. Gross.
Very gross.
Yes. Okay, that's what I have.
All right, love it.
You want to talk about fits?
Yeah, let's get into our last few wee sections. So, first one, too legit to fit. I think an easy winner in Alabama. I think this week I think it's going to be like. Yep. I mean, she has the most different outfits. I mean, for a start, like Patricia Arquette, I think just generally looks incredible in this film throughout. But like she has the most kind of like different kind of outfit changes, I think. And also like at one point she wears like high tops, and I think that might be. I find that I really kind of like that. Like a woman wearing high tops.
Yeah.
I think that's be a thing for me.
Okay.
I think I maybe realised that more watching it. But anyway, she looks sensational throughout, so it's an easy one for me. The animals. Wait, hold on. Start again. Andy's Animal Acting Award for excellence in animal acting has to be the Rottweiler, who is called Rommel. Which is just such a wild choice for a friggin' Rottweiler, naming it after one of the members of the Third Reich. Fascinating. And a guy who... Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was like trying to pretend like I had like... Do you see my face? I was like, I totally know what you're talking about, but I don't actually.
Yeah.
That's really fucked up. It's also like Tarantino, like Inglourious Bastards. Like he's got a there's a thing there.
You know that he found that hilarious. You know when he was writing the script. Oh, we're gonna name it after Rommel. Anyway, so in terms of revisit, remember, refuse, or redo, what are your thoughts on True Romance?
I want you to go first.
Okay, I think probably remember for me. I enjoyed this well enough, but I feel like it was a pretty brisk watch for me, and it was like lighter than I was expecting. There's still heavy stuff in it, but it was lighter than I was expecting overall. But I was just kind of like, I wasn't fully there with it. Certainly if you want to check it out, if you're curious about it, there's things to enjoy there, but I don't know if it's worth seeking out to revisit it, to be honest with you. So I think I'm going to land on remember.
Okay, good, because that's what I did too. And I was like, I know that there's so many Tarantino fans. I think Tony Scott did an excellent job directing.
Yep.
I thought generally it's a solid movie. I know it was
very well acted throughout.
Absolutely. But I'm just I feel like it's a remake that doesn't give much credit to the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone should go see Badlands if you like this movie because it's very similar. And yeah, there's a reason that I saw it, but don't really remember I saw it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like one of those. So, but I did enjoy the music very much.
Yes, yeah, and it was like I'd say lots of love, but I think overall it's just like it's you're not missing anything if you don't go back to it.
Yep. Remembering's fine.
Okay, in that case, we've reached the very last section of our podcast, and Beth, I want to ask you, what's been bringing you joy this week?
So I don't know if you want people to know this, but you're working on you're working on a business plan for some things. Mm-hmm. I don't want to spill any beans, but I've got another friend that's like trying to build up her yoga business. And so I'm helping you and I'm helping her. And I feel a lot of joy just in like helping the people that I love. So thank you to her. Thank you to you for letting me be like, okay, ready? No. Okay. You can do it. But I know, but it does bring me a lot of joy. And I was trying to she's got this website that basically the website that AI built. So trying to go into a website like on the back end, mm-hmm. and it's all like HTML, man. And I was like, you got to redo it all. And I can't even find this, like, the original, like, CMS code.
And it's probably not very clean, I'm guessing, either. It's just functional.
So messy. So I was like, I'm just going to build you a website that you can actually, like, update the hours.
Nice.
So, AI sucks, and I love helping. The end.
Yeah,
What about you? Oh, okay. What about you?
I think... Final, and it's taken the longest time to get to this. I literally just finished it this week, but I watched the TV show Beef.
Ooh, did you like it? I haven't seen it all the way through.
Incredible. It was not the show I was expecting it to be, and I thought it was such an interesting exploration of, I guess, like, I certainly like mental health stuff, but also like just not really fully understanding your place in the world and things like that, and what that might look like. And I thought whenever I saw the first couple of episodes, I was like, I can see the shape of this thing, but it's really not that at all. And it really fleshes out the characters in really cool ways. And I think in terms of their relationship and how they interact is so like fucked, but like it kind of makes sense whenever you really kind of come to see what sort of people they are, and like how much ultimately they have in common at the end. But I had heard it was great. I had no idea how great, and I just absolutely adored it from beginning to end.
I got through like the first episode, and then I was like, I can't watch like however many more of the, it's like uncomfortable.
Yes. But
yeah,
like top tier TV as far as I'm concerned, like, and you know I have pretty high standards for that sort of stuff,
yeah.
so really excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else to add?
No, I suppose, can you let people know where they can find us?
Yes, you can find us at bendypodcast.com. And I'm starting to update everything that's it's highlighting the fact that we are talking about movies right now. So just, notice the logo changes and all that stuff that's happening on all of the different platforms. And we've got some new followers, some new listeners. So just thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us and listening to us babble. And we're just glad you're here. And we love the support. And just thank you. You guys make this worth obviously, Andy, you make this worth it, but so do our listeners. So I just wanted to thank everybody. So please subscribe, subscribe, and tell your friends that are movie buffs that they might want to give us a listen. So
yes, please. Sweet, love it. All right, folks. In that case, as always, we'd like to remind you to stay bendy. That was like a perfect one.
I kind of think so too. We're so good.
So good. All right,
love you guys. Bye.
Bye.